A California law aiming to prevent the spread of COVID misinformation has been temporarily blocked by a federal judge. Assembly Bill 2098 would allow the state to discipline doctors who disseminate information about COVID that is not in line with the, quote, contemporary scientific consensus. But who defines what the contemporary scientific consensus really is?
Good question. And joining us now to hopefully answer that question, Litigation Counsel for the New Civil Liberties Alliance, Jenin Younes. Jenin, great to have you with us here. The doctors you represent argue that this law is both vague and also excessively intrusive. It sounds like if you don't agree with us and you're not going to speak the language and use the words that we want you to use, then you're out.
That's right. I mean, the law was clearly designed to silence doctors who dissent on, from the CDC and other mainstream authorities on issues from masks to vaccines. If you look at the legislative record, that's clearly what they were seeking to do with this law. And the judge agreed with us that the term scientific consensus just isn't defined or definable, especially with a new disease like COVID. And I think he saw what this was designed to do.
So does this all come down to what can be said under the First Amendment, or is there a better way to break this down?
So we raised a First Amendment challenge as well. The judge actually didn't address that. I think he thought it was so obviously vague that was just a very easy argument to address. This was a preliminary injunction motion, so it's an emergency motion. We're basically saying, the doctor's First Amendment and other rights are in jeopardy right now. That's called an irreparable harm in the law, and so you need to halt this immediately. We don't have time to go through the whole lawsuit, which can take, years. So he didn't have to sort of find everything right at this time. So more will come in the future, I think, on the First Amendment issue.
Yeah, I mean, even Governor Newsom, as you mentioned, acknowledged the challenges of this law when it comes to free speech. But ultimately, he concluded that the law focuses on malicious intent and clear deviations from established standards of care. But do you think if this law was passed, it would instead prevent doctors from actually discussing emerging ideas or treatments? I mean, to me, this is all about sharing ideas in the hopes of helping science as opposed to inhibiting science.
Exactly. I mean, Governor Newsom's signing statement has no legal effect. So he can say whatever he wants, but the law doesn't require any kind of malicious intent. And the people who propagated this bill, some of its prime proponents, have threatened my clients on social media, saying they can't wait to get their licenses taken away now that AB 2098 has been passed. These are people who, are very close with the board. So this is clearly an intimidation tactic that's designed to make doctors fall in line with the state and not to question the CDC and, the California Medical Association and organizations like that. It's very dangerous. And it also infringes on the doctor-patient relationship. One of our clients is a doctor, but also a patient. She had a life-threatening disease, and she says she can no longer trust her doctor to give her accurate information about COVID because she doesn't know if she's just parroting state-approved lines, which is what, essentially they want.
That's sounding more and more like socialized medicine versus what we're used to here in America. All right, Jenin Younes, thanks so much for being with us.
All right, stay with us. The second hour of American Agenda is going to start right now.